Welcome to GoldBoys Live, presented by Pickett Sports, Sleeper Picks, Hall of Fame bets, breaking down the MLB card. We have an NFL game tonight. Your questions and comments on Twitch, YouTube, whatever, throw them at us. Go ahead and make fun of Brian. We don't care. He's not a real person.
Thank you.
Brian and Josh, boys, what's going on?
Not much. I mean, if you listened to the show yesterday, we actually I think we had a lot of good angles. The only thing I think we kind of missed on is Savali pitched well. The Reds tore up Syndergaard. I think we had some good plays there. And then Kayvon Guzman, he did not come through. We only went 5 1/3 innings, but other than that, I think it was a good show. On a
I gave
bigger
out
slate.
three and you tailed me on. Guess I gave out three. I went 2-1. Guess which one you tailed me on?
Well, I took it live, so that was my fault. But like, we talk about all the time. Is there anything worse than being bored in the day? Where I was like, yeah, like after the show, I'm gonna be bored. I might as well take something. I just took the first thing that looked good. But I did take Syndergaard's under and strikeout, so I kind of didn't take the same route you did to fade him. But yeah, both won there.
I was literally thinking to myself this morning about that comment when you were like, "I'm just gonna bet on this shit because I'm bored." I was like, "Does that ever go
It never
well?"
works.
It's
It
a good
never
rule of
works
thumb,
out
like
well.
with football too. Like, hey, Monday night game, Sunday night game. Would I be betting this game if it were Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern? There's 8 other games on it, and it's the Titans versus I don't know, like the Buccaneers. Would I be like if it's a
Yeah,
Monday night football game, I'm going to bet it. But if it wasn't a Monday night football game, like that's always a good rule. It's
I,
not always easy. People want
I don't.
action. Look, if you're throwing $20 on it, whatever. But
Yeah, I don't have a strict rule of thumb, but I always like to say if you're betting player props like I do during the NFL season, the night games it should be like a one prop game. Like you don't want to hold yourself to one or force one either way, but you see some people that like tweet on Twitter and it's like, here's my 8 plays for this Monday night card. I'm like,
right,
8 plays is cool for a Sunday card, but you, you're just you're just betting the
yeah,
bet at that point. There's no way you have 8 edges on 8 different props. It's just crazy
right.
sometimes.
Although primetime games, I feel like you get some good bets on the unders because
The
people are
unders.
watching and you just want to they just want to root for yards and touchdowns and
Yeah.
everything. So sometimes if you wait, especially to like as closer to game time as possible, it's like the Super Bowl where
uh,
everyone wants to bet over Kelsey yards, everyone wants to bet over Mahomes yards, and sometimes the unders are
It
good
creates a
plays.
lot of
But
value because the opening lines sometimes for primetime games get completely destroyed.
yep,
So it happens sometimes.
Murdered.
But I gave up on unders on primetime 2 years ago. Cooper Cup, I had his under. And I got roasted on it all over Twitter for taking the under on a Thursday night football prop for Cooper Cup, and he had like 40 yards the entire game, and they just had to ice the clock, and it was like a 3rd and 3. They did play action and hit him with like a 50-yard bomb to end the game, and I was like, why are we doing this? Like I was just like so mad, where I was like, I swear this would never happen if I had the over. Like it was one of those miracle things where no matter what side you're on, it was a miracle loss or win, but it can be
How
painful.
how early do you get Thursday night game markets? Like,
for player
is it
props,
just in
Like
general
Tuesday.
even? Is it like the Thursday night game the week before? Like, is it that night? Is
It's
it Wednesday
I
night?
think it's
Is
like Tuesday usually, Tuesday mornings.
the
Tuesday
week
mornings
before,
because
like 9 days in advance?
for
no,
just the
like two
side
days
and
in
the
advance.
total.
What's
Or
that?
like, do you mean props? Sides and
Yeah,
totals are props.
anything, any
Because
markets
props aren't
for
until
Thursday
Tuesday
night.
morning because you need to
Yeah,
have the
sides will
week
be up.
before.
Sides will be up that Sunday, 4 or 5 days before usually.
Yeah, but the
As
props are
soon as those
usually
teams
up
play.
Tuesday
Um,
morning. Tuesday morning for props.
We do have an NFL game tonight. Not a great baseball card. Only 5 or 6 games. There are a couple I like. There's one I really like. It's a special day if you're a baseball bettor, and if you're looking at the card, you know what I mean. But let's start with the football game. I know you guys don't bet a lot of preseason, but it is Eagles -3.5. We've seen the total tick down 35, 35.5. I see 35.5 at Rivers. Use Pickett to get the best numbers, obviously. Um, I just don't understand why Philly's laying 3.5, Brian. This is your squad here. You have a good feel for this
Yeah,
team. Sirianni does not care about preseason. He never cares about preseason.
I
This
mean
is
they
what
don't
his
ever win in the preseason, and
yeah,
you
this
can
is
see
his third
that.
season
Like,
being coached. He's won one game. So I guess it's the quarterback rotation. I don't know how much Mariota is going to play, who's obviously one of the better backups. We know Hurts isn't going to play, but I think the kid McKee looked decent last time. It'd be helpful if Brad was on because Brad's a good college guy, and we know some of these guys from college. But like the Browns have DTR from UCLA, who's decent. I
there. And I like that. We kind of talked about last time we were covering some preseason games. Is sometimes you don't want to give out general statements, but sometimes in the preseason, just betting the dog spread can be helpful because people don't want to go to overtime. People don't want to play for a tie. Like people don't
right,
want to drag these games out where you're going to
right,
see sometimes that in some situations where you could kick a field goal. Imagine if the Browns are down 3 or like the Eagles are down like up 3 or this or that. They're not going to kick a field goal per se. They'll run a 4th down play sometimes just to try out their playbook. So feel like sometimes you get the value just because they are underdog in the you know in these meaningless games, quote
Chris,
unquote.
Christopher on the chat says Eagles first half money line. I don't know how objective he is because he says R2s will easily get up early. So we know he's a Birds fan. If Christopher, if you can respond, how much Mariota's playing tonight, that would be interesting. What would scare me about backing the Eagles, and maybe first half is the way to play it if you like Philly. Ian Book played a lot of the fourth quarter against the Ravens. He's probably the worst quarterback I've seen so far in the preseason. He couldn't do anything, so that would scare me. But look, we get to ease into it. We get a little football. I know it's preseason. It doesn't count. The games are not watchable if you don't have money on it. But look, it's football. It's on TV. And it's nice to have it back a little bit, a little taste of it. You're not betting any of this, Josh?
No, not on that right now.
Yeah. What are we? We're 3 weeks away, or is it 3 weeks away until opening kickoff? 4 weeks. No,
It's got to be 3 weeks, I think.
It's 3 weeks.
Then week 3. Then they have that weird bye where nobody plays. It used to be a fourth week.
Yeah.
And now, so yeah, we're getting there. That Thursday night, I think it's 3 weeks from today.
Yeah, it's 3 weeks. And then
Jeez,
because I know I had my fantasy draft that week, like September 1st that weekend.
I run a fantasy league. I got to get some dates organized and get it together. I mean, it's so hard trying to organize it when you're in charge of like everything.
It's just so annoying.
That's been why I'm not large amount of various NBA futures over the past week or so, and then I've really just been looking at fantasy stuff this whole time.
Event and everyone wants to go, so I feel like that's my advice if you're trying to.
All right, games today for baseball. Again, it's not a great slate. 2:00 Eastern, so like right around an hour from now. Mariners for break. They're feisty.
Every time they win, I think of Will. I don't know what it is. Like I just see the scores sometimes, and I'm like, oh, they're down 9, whatever, and it's like they won 10-9. It's just like these.
Mariners big favorites -225. It's Kirby going for Seattle against an opener. I just don't get. I'm on Camby.
Can you also just say at, so I know who the home team is every time? Can you just say, instead of verse, can you just say at whoever the away team is? You know what I mean?
On the books?
Yeah, you know what I mean?
On the books?
Yeah, even on the book.
Anyway, Will,
I just go
to answer your question, it is Chris Sale versus Patrick Corbin.
Yep.
I actually think there's like maybe some value in the over in that game, just because I mean it's Chris Sale, but we're gonna get 4 or 5 innings. He's still getting hit around a little bit. Nationals hit lefty as well. The one prop I was looking at is I'm monitoring it. I kind of want to be contrarian here and take Chris Sale under 5.5 strikeouts. I've only seen the over all over Twitter and all over everywhere, but I mean, if he gets 6 strikeouts on 63 pitches, I almost don't even sweat it too much because you live with it against like one of the most K-averse teams in the entire universe, like this Nationals team. 17% strikeout rate against lefties. So it's those team. 17% strikeout rate against lefties. So it's
decent. He was actually better than decent. He was pretty good, but
hasn't he been on an upward swing?
Yeah, he's been up and down. He hasn't.
It's making people.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Do you have anything on Mariners Royals too? I'm trying to read the chat.
No,
at least a quarter and a half.
He wants to go right to.
I just want to talk about the baseball.
Go for it. We're fading Wainwright. How are we doing it?
We're fading Wainwright and we're fading Quintana. Honestly, we can fade them both, but like if you want to put more on Waino to just go over 5.5, I am going to take over 10.5 on the game too. I got it at -104 on FanDuel. I know I'm going to get yelled at if that's not still the number. I'm really sorry.
Yes.
That's what I got.
It's 10 even on DraftKings now.
Even better. Great. Wonderful. But you probably it's juiced down a bit, I imagine. I also like Goldschmidt all over the place, and you have to like take a lot, but you get juice. If you take hits, runs, RBI over 2.5, it's +115 on DraftKings. Home run for Goldie was +450 on DraftKings. After seeing all these like 2-to-1s for guys to hit home runs, he's got 3 home runs in 17 at bats in 11 hits. He's batting .674 against Jose Quintana in his career. He's one of the best righty versus lefties that we've seen in a long freaking time. Jose Quintana's xERA is a full run more. His xFIP is almost twice as high as his actual FIP. He's gotten lucky in those 4 starts, plainly put, and played some bad lineups. But the STL lineup over here, the bats on the Cardinals side have a .306 lifetime average against Quintana, including that .647. Then Arenado's got 2 dingers off of him. Like, yeah, just give me some runs.
I like that. There should be some runs in that game.
I found DraftKings doesn't have it up, but I did find offshore there is over 2.5 for the first 5 for the Mets. minus 150. I would lay the 150.
Oh,
If you
wow.
look, if you don't score 3 runs against Wainwright in 5 innings, you know what? You have my money, but that's
You're not
what I'm
going to
willing to
get
live
5
with.
innings. That's the only thing.
Right. No, but I mean, look, if they don't get 3 runs off Wainwright, if they don't have 3 runs in the first 5 innings with a game when Wainwright starts, I'll live with it. So, and I
Yeah,
do find
minus
the Red
150
Sox
is a
ones.
lot better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be one of those like minus 170s.
I thought it'd
for
be
the
3 and a
2.5.
half.
Probably
And that was
3
one
and a half.
last night,
Yeah.
or I
Well,
took over a Syndergaard in the first 5, or the Reds team total over in the first 5. And as soon as it hit, I'm like, why the hell did I not bet more on that? That was just so easy.
yeah, some of those are those, what was it? I think my big one was, I think last Sunday it was against the Nationals again. I faded under in strikeouts, and it was Waldichuk, whatever, for the A's, and he
Yeah.
got like 3. It was the least sweaty bet of all time, and it's always easy to be like, man, that line shouldn't even have existed.
Right.
But then there's other times where you hammer something and you're like, oh, they got me. Like,
Right.
yeah, I was expecting that to be 3.5 plus money or like a really really juicy 2.5. So I think minus 150 is a great price.
Yeah, and I'm seeing 3.5 for the hard time.
That's
putting
one
the-
where you might have to check the umpire. No, there's so many avenues in this game
Right.
with these two pitchers.
Where are we at?
Actually, that's a good.
Nice. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's way better than even the Yurfie then, because that's where I would
Thank
be.
God, thank goodness this game is not in the day because I would so just.
Some homer parlay with Mets and like I don't hate that in this game. I really don't. This is a game where, I mean, look, he gives up 7-8 runs every time. Kansas City, what was it? 2 innings, 8 runs last time, or 3 innings, 8 runs. He's throwing like slop up there. It's not like we talked about it with Severino the other day, where he's getting hit hard, but he's still throwing 99. That's not the case with Wainwright. Wainwright, he's just trying to fool people. They're just
And
trying
it
to nurse
kind
him to
of-
200 wins. He's got
It kind of
nothing
sucks.
left.
That was my exact point. It kind of sucks because I root so hard for him to get 200 wins. Like that's such a cool accomplishment. I don't hate Wainwright at all, but yeah, it is. It's just kind of sad to see him every start out there
I
just
feel
getting around
nothing.
where he's so
I
close.
feel nothing. I'm with
No,
Josh.
I feel nothing for Wainwright.
Okay, but
Oh
you-
yeah, Josh.
My memory of Wainwright is him literally buckling Carlos Beltran on a 3-2 count where he doesn't even swing the bat because he threw like a 12-inch curveball.
That was a nasty curveball.
So
Beltran got
here's
way
my
too much
thing.
crap.
I
That
don't
was a
like.
good
I don't
pitch.
necessarily like the Cardinals or Wainwright for Philly reasons. They not in 2011 that whole whatever. But
That was a bad one. That was a really
I
bad
still
one.
think
Thank
for a guy that's been around that long, you kind of wish you get to 200 wins. Like I mean, when you're 2 wins away, it's kind of.
I don't know. So I was kind of blacked out after the part about me. I didn't really care anymore.
Josh, I love you.
Yeah,
You
it
could have
might-
stopped your sentence out on the show.
Yeah, it might have just been the first thing I ever said.
Yes.
Honestly,
Yes.
if you ain't got no haters though, you ain't popping.
Yeah, even
That's
people that know
Shakespeare.
Josh, like, yeah, Josh, he's an employee here. It's like, oh, there's no
Right.
adjectives there.
Hey, I was talked about though.
Yeah.
How about the rest of these games? Tigers, Guardians. Ugh.
Yeah, I was talking about the.
Yeah, we talked about this a lot.
Pirates,
I know how bad the Arizona Diamondbacks have been recently, but once again, here comes the Padres getting priced at like
Right.
even money both ways for this game. Like they're both minus 110.
I don't know that there's a great bet in there. I would say this: if I had no bets and I have Snell 50-1, I have Strider 9-1, and I add Gallen 2-1 as like a hedge. So if Webb wins, I'm
Yeah.
fucked. If I had no bets, I wouldn't rule out Strider. I know the ERA is not there, but he can just throw together 2 or 3 starts where he puts up a million strikeouts and just lower that ERA. I wouldn't count out Strider yet.
Yeah, and then
That's
people love strikeouts. Like that's kind of like I feel
Right.
like in the Cy Young Award now, you can almost.
Plus, he
Down
throws
to people.
100. He's got, he got screwed out of Rookie of the Year last year. He at least had a case for Rookie of the Year last year. So, something to keep in mind. Cole minus 380 for
I'm
him.
with. I was with the Rich Hill under 15.5 outs for sure. And even D-backs first 5 money line with Gallen and just taking that matchup there. But also the Tigers, I do like Tarek Skubal much more than I like Zazander Schaefer. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that right.
Okay.
Yeah, so Skubal much better lately, and really under 8.5 runs might be a better bet at minus 110 on
Yes.
both sides. Cleveland is awful. I mean, they're already the worst slugging offense in the league with whomever's pitching, but with lefties,
They can't hit
have
lefties at all.
a
They cannot hit
65
lefties at all.
WRC plus. They can't score against lefties at all. So
Yeah.
continuing to go under on the worst offense in baseball doesn't seem like a bad idea.
I almost wish that we talked about it one time with Josh was here with Graham S-Craft. I think there's some value. I wonder what it would look like if you just go in Caesars every single game and you bet over on outs for a pitcher and the under strikeouts against the
Yeah, we were talking
Guardians.
about that.
Because I feel like a lot of times it happens where they'll go 5-6 innings, whatever their outs are, but it's just a lot of quick outcome outs. So they don't strike
Ashcraft
out.
is special though. You have to bet him that way. Like you don't get that many guys going 8 innings, but they're
Yeah.
throwing and they're getting like a 60% ground ball percentage. But like
Yeah.
that's his job. Like he pitches at that ballpark that's going to go out all the time. Like it's his job to just keep the ball down. So those are
Yeah.
all good bets because he's not. I mean, he gets the occasional 6 strikeout game, but if you get him at 5.5 ever on his prop, like it's not a bad under.
No, yeah. I
The
took
other
him
game
at
we haven't
4.5
talked
last
about,
game.
Brewers, Dodgers, Dodgers -1 to 48 or so. It is Corbin Burns against Lance Lynn. Boy, keep this in mind for next year. Anytime the Dodgers are struggling, just don't give up on the Dodgers. The Dodgers just never lose anymore. They just never lose baseball games. Seems like they win every single night. What is their winning streak at? Because I can't remember just top of my
At
head last
10.
time they lost. Are they at 10 in a row?
Well, it's at least 10. Yeah.
I feel like they do this every August. Doesn't it feel like that every August? Like
Yeah.
the rate, yeah, they've won
Not
10
only
in
is
a
it
row.
10, they were on a 5-game win streak before that, before they lost one to the Padres.
Man.
4 games. So
And they
yeah,
were
they
like
won
the
4
Giants were
games.
like within a game or two of the division. I was like, oh, could the Giants steal it? The Dodgers are now 11 up on the Giants. They're going to win, at least
Yeah.
in the loss column. My goodness.
To be fair, like the Giants are helping the Dodgers out by losing as well. You
What do you
know,
mean?
the Giants are losing on their own. So
Oh,
while
I
the
mean,
Dodgers are
right,
surging, it's like they're gaining ground every game because
right. I mean,
the
it's
Giants are
over.
also losing. So
And this is one like if you have enough books, the Dodgers were like -200 to win the division not that long ago. And people look at it's -200, they might not win. It's like, man,
yeah.
-200 is a nice bet. It's probably -200,000 right now. They're basically going to clinch. I don't know, not soon, but it's magic number time where they are winning that
Yeah.
division. Let's check up anything for you guys, Brewers, Dodgers, or no?
Not
I
really.
I tried to look at stuff in that game, but I want to back Burns, but the same thing,
Yeah.
all the right reasons you just mentioned about the
Exactly.
Dodgers offense coming to life. It just seemed like a better no play for me. But I did like some angles of Burns' outs to get over 17.5. But
Do you guys think Freeman can steal the MVP from Acuna?
Yeah,
Freeman's 5-1.
I was
I
thinking
saw a
that.
show about that. There's an NBA MLB Network show talking about how it's closer than most people would expect it to be, or and like I still think it's Acuna 100%, but it was kind of just interesting to listen to the advanced numbers and kind of the stats, and they're just trying to say the same thing. It's a little bit closer than people like to believe it is.
I'm seeing Bet Rivers now as we're just kind of going around the board here. I'm going to see if I can get a better number. Use Pickett for better numbers. Pickett Sleeper, Hall of Fame bets are great sponsors. The Reds +825 to steal this division. They are only 3 behind Milwaukee in the loss column, 2.5 out. Hunter Green's coming back this weekend. Lodolo's not that far behind.
That's all they need. I mean, that offense can be great, but
I
yeah, that
agree.
pitching
Is this
staff
not?
needs it.
Is this maybe a time to jump back in? I know some people have them at longer numbers. I have them at long numbers, but let's just again play the game with like you have nothing in pocket. Yeah, +825. That seems like a hell of a number.
For what?
Reds division.
No, I'm off them.
I mean, you're all in the Cubs.
Yeah, I'm off them. I mean, I know what you're saying. I do, but I'm not even taking into consideration that I need the Cubs to make the. I just need the Cubs to make the playoffs, so I could still bet the Reds to win the division. But
I know, but let's just forget the bets we have now. Just if you had no bets.
no, I'm off them just because it's like it's streakiness. Like I don't trust them.
But at
After it was the
+825, they're getting
Nats
their
series.
pitchers back. I'm actually going to go drive and bet this.
Wow.
That's just a
I
long
could see it.
number. That's just a
It
long
is a long
number.
number.
I don't trust
I mean, yeah,
Milwaukee too. I don't love Milwaukee at all.
It's a long number for a team 2.5 games back.
2.5,
I agree.
that's fair.
That's getting their pitching back. That all they really need is the pitching. Like Green and Lodolo are
They
both
have to
legitimately
beat-
good.
Yeah.
They have to beat teams in the division. That's what's holding them back. Like they just
When you
haven't
get
been
your
able to
pitchers
beat-
back, like I'm talking myself more and more into this. I really like this bet.
I'm not gonna try to talk you out of it. I mean, I have
Yeah.
things that I like for the Brewers, but I'm definitely not gonna try to talk you out of it.
Yeah,
I'll
I
join
just
you
mean
on
like
betting.
if I had nothing, if you had nothing in pocket right now, hey, I want to bet. Like, is this a good bet as it stands right now? Forget the rest of the stuff. Like, man, +825. That seems like a
I
fat
just think it's
number.
the volatility of the offense that they rely on so much. And to your point, maybe the pitchers come back and it's all kosher, but like the volatility of the offense is based on having like 3 rookies in the lineup that they depend on.
Yeah,
You know, at this point in the season, that's
And
where
sometimes they
volatility-
swing out of their shoes. It happens. Yeah.
but volatility I think is a good thing when you're getting over 8-1.
Yeah, you're two. When I look at 2.5 and I see 8-1, it's like, whoa, yeah, come on, that's crazy.
Yes. For simply that reason.
Yeah,
And
for
hey, if they get a hot streak, like you mentioned, the volatility, they can win 8 in a row, they can lose 8 in a row. If you win 6 or 7 in a row, and then you could play somebody else at plus money, like you don't. This doesn't have to be your final bet in this market. I just think this is a good number. I think it's a stale number too because DraftKings has 550. So
Yeah.
I really like that bet. I'm going to post that bet after I bet it.
I'll join that with you.
Clean Money Gibbs says, love that Reds play. At least somebody has some sense. I mean,
Nah,
Josh,
I just think
Brian
just think
high half the time, I think. At least clean
I
money gives
just
some
said
to the
I'll
gives
join
some.
you on that.
Oh,
I
okay.
already
I
had
take
the
that back.
I already have it at like 4.5 to 1, but it comes to one of those things where I think sometimes when you talk about betting odds, it's not like, yeah, I think this is the most likely team to do it, but at
Right.
8 to 1 for a team 2.5 games back, I mean, they play
Just picking off a
some
number.
yeah.
Just picking off a number. Anything else you guys want to talk about? Oh, I wanted to mention this. I don't know if you guys saw this. This is, I think, a good promo. I don't know if Josh can do this in California. You're in California, right? FanDuel has a bet. If you bet $500 on a team to win the Super Bowl, you get a $50 free bet for every game they win in the regular season, and you get it within a couple of days of that win. So it's basically a free roll. Hey, I'm going to take the Chiefs. You're going to get your money. They're probably going to win 10 plus games. So it's maximum of 10, I believe. 10 wins. So
Yeah.
maximum 500 in free bets. You're going to get your 500 back at least in free bets. And I just think that's a good promo. Some of these promos, sometimes you have to read
Yeah,
between
I
the
think
lines. Like, all right, is this really worth it? To me, that's a good one. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
I
I
I
have
honestly, I think it's one of my favorite promos, but I think the one thing I'll say to people listening is that it's a great promo if you realize you have to use it and convert your bets. Because I think a lot of times, and the reason they do these kind of promos is that it's easy to say, "Oh, I get my free bets, I'll convert them and get my money back." But then people
No,
get the
yeah,
$20 free
good
bet
point.
at week 3, people get the $20 back, whatever, for that win, and they'll be like, "Oh, let me put on this 6-leg touchdown parlay," and it's like, all right, at
$50.
that point,
Right.
well, it depends on their max. I think some people it's 200, some people it's finalize that because it's like, it's 6 weeks after you place the bet and they forget that that's
Still think that's a good bet. It's basically a free roll. They're matching what you're betting in free bets. So, hey, I'm betting 500 on this team to win it all.
no,
And
yeah,
I'm getting that in free bets. I think that's a good promo. I really do.
no, I like it. It's my favorite one. I always try to. So I
Are you going to
always
do it? That's what I'm going to ask next.
I haven't looked yet because I always try to find the team that has the longest odds to FanDuel compared to other books that should still get 10 wins. Like
Right.
it's like I usually get 2 promos, one for my girlfriend gets one, I get one. I usually go with the safe one and then like a longer shot. So that's kind of how I haven't looked at the markets yet.
Jets 18-1. Then
So it
obviously,
has to be a minimum of $50 bet on the Super Bowl winner.
I
It
think it's if you
depends.
bet.
Like,
Yeah.
at least it's the most guaranteed 10 wins.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
because
mean,
that's the
look,
key. You gotta find those 10-win teams.
and then
Niners are 10-1.
yeah, I just don't know about Purdy enough. I know he played pretty well
I
in the
do.
5 or 6 games, but
Nine games.
I don't think it was 9 games, was it?
Yeah. They won like 10 in a row at the end of the season. They weren't doing that with Trey Lance at quarterback.
No. Let's see here.
Did you hear what Mike Lombardi said about Trey Lance? I was like, Jesus, that was brutal. He goes, his mama pulled him out of the crib, and that was the
I heard
moment
that.
he wasn't able to play quarterback. He was
Yeah,
Well,
just
it
that's
is kind of funny that if
like,
you look at
whoa.
I was looking at the like the stats. He really has not played much of this sport. I mean, like in
Dude,
terms
he
of
played
his
1 year at North Dakota State.
yeah,
missed the
Who could have
COVID
seen this
year, played
coming?
safety another year. Yeah, I
Who
guess
could
he
have
did.
seen this
yeah.
coming?
His like passing attempts by level of competition. I saw like a stat about that, but like high school, college, NFL, and I was like, that's like not even a season of attempts. It's crazy to think about.
So he had 5 starts. You can cut the Dolphins game he went into.
Yeah, you definitely
And I
can.
guess maybe the playoff game. So yeah, I guess we were both kind of right, but he did only start 5 games. It's still a small sample. I just worry like they're going to get a little film on him, make an adjustment, and I don't know. I just don't know. I'm not saying like I'm more optimistic, I think, than not, but I still think it's fair to be like, hey, he was the last pick in the draft. You're going to finally get some film on him. Like I feel like he had a bunch of interceptions dropped too, which sometimes like our eye can't comprehend everything. Where if like you throw it to a defender, he drops it, and like we just forget about that play. And sometimes that can be the difference between like, oh, that guy threw 3 or 4 picks, and that guy only threw 1 or threw none. And I don't know.
You're
I
not
do want to see
wrong.
more.
You're not wrong. I watched a lot of Niners last
A lot
year,
of drops, right? A lot of dropped
and
picks.
you're
Where
not
ooh, that
wrong.
one could
Yeah,
have been picked. Yeah,
that was a conversation last year, and it is
yeah,
easy to forget those things. Like we were talking about the Giants as one of those teams where it's like if you watch them, the ball literally bounced their way
right.
like six different times in 6 different games.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Missed field goal week 1, that kind of thing.
yeah, but like it's not as easy to quantify the dropped interceptions for a
Yes.
quarterback, and that's a
Right.
good one. God, football's so crazy. But my thing with the 10-1 is like, God damn, that roster's nasty. I
It
think Chris
is.
McCaffrey is like draft him in your fantasy leagues top 5 for sure. He's going to be getting receptions, etc. So I think it's just like you need just a quarterback, man.
Right.
And to not be left with Kyle Juszczyk playing fucking quarterback for you.
Although when
So yeah,
Mullins played, who was it? Was it Mullins played? Like when
yeah,
Garoppolo got hurt, they had a really bad year. So I think we're getting this idea that anyone can play. Like Jimmy G won. Then when he got hurt, they weren't winning as much. And now with Purdy, they've won. But there was a stretch where they weren't winning without Garoppolo.
but I still think the conversation around it is like with those weapons, you need competence. You don't need like
Yeah,
extraordinary,
right. You need a
right?
B
And so
minus.
like, yeah, yeah. Honestly, like I want to say Daniel Jones could be a really successful
Right.
quarterback in that system. So I think
You need
Sam
five
Darnold
five
would look
innings,
better.
2 runs. You don't need a shutout.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Um, so my thing with the bets is like I think the NFC West is pretty bad. I don't know if I'm breaking news here. I think the Seahawks are going to take a step back, and I'm not as high on the Rams as people are like saying that like they're going to recreate 2 years ago or whatever.
Oh, I haven't heard
So
that. Is that a thing?
just from the standpoint that like Stafford needs to be if Stafford's in there, then he and Cup are going to be like what they were. That is the conversation. And then like Cam Akers, whatever he was the second half of last season, is the Cam Akers we're going to get all season
Right.
apparently. But I don't know. I haven't seen any of this to like make me feel that way. Which, if you agree, then there's 3 teams that the 49ers are like pretty well better, above them, and with the talent all over that roster, including the defensive line. So, and the linebackers for sure with Fred Warner. But yeah, I'm pretty high on the 49 on the Niners for sure. I think if you put them back in the championship game against the Eagles, which it feels pretty likely that happens, because
I would likely is look, a
why
lot
not
can happen in the
likely?
NFL.
Yeah,
A
for
lot can happen
sure.
in
But
the
like
NFL.
with the amount of talent on both those teams, I think they're like a little bit
There's a
more
clear
dangerous.
divide between those 2 and everybody else, although I look, Dallas has a good roster. I don't trust them, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I mean, look, we don't have to like bet NFL now if you don't want to, but I do think that you're going to lose value on the Eagles and the Niners by like week 7, 8 around that time.
Well, Eagles do have a tough schedule. Not that bad early, but it's a lot tougher than it was last year. But
Yeah.
Yeah,
we did a
it's
lot.
at least nice for them to get it started or the easier part. At least the harder parts
Yes.
in that like November area.
That Patriot game week 1's interesting. I feel like that's just such a not a trap game. I hate that line, but man, that 5, like it looks too good to be true. I don't know.
I'm over it.
I don't. That's one I'm probably not going to be betting. That one just looks too easy. Like I don't know. Laying points to Belichick on the road with a good defense. I'm not sure
Yeah,
about
that's
that.
fair. I mean, the under might be a play there if it gets up
Yes,
enough.
I like the
Yeah,
under. Plus, you
yeah.
have a an oddball offense with Philly where they have a whole year of film on them and like they can look at the little intricacies. The flip case of that, the flip side of that is Philly just has much better players than the Patriots do. So that 5 is cheap. So that's probably
45 and a
stay away
half. I
from.
would have liked it to be closer to 50, but
Yeah.
Yeah, too bad they don't let us just make up the numbers we want. Like that would be really
well,
nice.
I can
Wish it was
move it.
60.
I can move it.
I wish it was 70.
There's this thing in the NFL you can do teases. Will Brian? I'll tell
No,
you
you
about
can't
that
teach
later.
totals. Not in the
Uh,
regular season. You cannot.
not in the regular season.
It's elite. It's not a good practice. It's
In the
not.
playoffs, you can though. It's not
Preseason.
really.
Preseason when the totals are low, you can tease them down.
Okay, okay, okay. All right, we're
All right,
learning.
boys. This was good. This is a fun show. A little baseball, a little
Yeah.
football, a little bit of everything. Thank you to Pickett Sports, Sleeper, Hall of Fame bets. You guys will be back tomorrow. I am off tomorrow, off for a week. So when I'm back, we're ready to go. Football is here, college football. So appreciate it, guys. Appreciate you guys in the chat, and we will see you next time.